All right, welcome back, everybody. Honolulu Blue Breakdown. We're back. We're going to discuss all things Lions. It's me, Troy. We got Matt and Jordan here. We're going to discuss the Lions losing to the Rams. We're going to talk about the upcoming weeks, important weeks against the Steelers, Vikings, and then hopefully the Bears. And then, of course, we got our sponsored segment in the middle there. You all know what that is, our Harrington to Hutchinson. If you're looking for a house, you'll want to stick around and listen in. So, guys, this week, Rams, I think, Jordan, you kind of said it best in our text thread. So you want to kick it off and kind of lay out what you were thinking going into this game and how it made you feel?
Yeah. I was kind of confused, with the identity of the team beforehand. I think we saw some of it, but man, the defense let us down. I feel like that secondary, the injuries, we could only do so much, but there's a lot to take away from the offense sticking in there. This is a good defensive Rams defensive team here. And I think we did a pretty good job overall. I think we had a chance to win it. I think that's what the gut punch is the most. There was, the time where we were up, I think 10 at one point, where I'm like, okay, we got to keep it going. And that third quarter sputter kind of hurt, and we can get into more of it here soon. But that's kind of my take overall. But go ahead. Anything specific I was referring to? I can't remember.
You just mentioned how, we went into the game not expecting to win, but then once they kind of get up and build a lead, and then you're starting to get confident, and it's like now your hopes are up, and then they just get dashed, and that's kind of the worst part about it.
Yeah,
it was a gut punch.
Yeah, it was tough to see what they did in the third quarter. The only thing I'll add is I'm not going to get too bummed out about it. Obviously, I would have loved the win, especially the way they played and kind of moved the ball in the first half. Like you said, I didn't expect to win, but at the same time, we put up points. We put up 34 points. Had a big turnover. We'll get into the specifics in a little bit, but I think the name of the game is the defense has to find a way, and obviously they have two really good receivers, and Devontae went down, but it seemed like every big third down and a few fourth downs, Puka was right there. He's got great hands and big first downs. So, I'm not going to overreact to it. I was honestly happy that we were able to put up as many points as we did, because it shows hey, our offense is fine. A few weeks ago, a month or two ago, I was like, oh my gosh, our offense, some games just looks like nothing's there. The O-line, I feel like, is starting to get more of a rhythm. Those three drives there in the third quarter, kind of, not a great representation of that. But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to phrase it. It is what it is. I mean, we weren't expecting to win. We didn't need to win, really, in terms of kind of our playoff hopes. Obviously, it would have greatly helped it. The Rams are good. Watching them obviously play us was kind of my first time really watching the Rams, other than just kind of passively. And yeah, they're a good team. They're legit. Stafford is killing it. Him and Puka are on kind of that same level as Goff and Amon-Ra, where they have that connection. And our secondary is just so depleted, we couldn't stop them at all, which was, we'll get into a little bit in the defense with that and their running game. It's just kind of how it happened is the most frustrating thing, I guess. We were there, we had a chance, and then one quarter, just it kind of all fell apart. But, they're a Super Bowl contender, more so than us. So I guess that's kind of what happens when you go up against a team like that. So I guess we can jump into the offense here. That picture is kind of a tale of two lions. It's the happy one and the sad one is kind of what that's summing up. But first half versus second half, Goff was on fire, and the offensive line, like you said, Matt, seemed fine. I mean, it didn't really seem like he was under pressure. I did put the Monty versus Gibbs debate, though. I don't know if we want to talk about that, but you can kind of see the carries there. Gibbs had almost double the carries and essentially the same amount of yards. I just don't know. It's so hard because you don't want to take Gibbs off the field, but Monty, whenever he's in there, it works. It brings back kind of that punishing style. And then I don't know if Gibbs is maybe starting to wear down a little bit. At least in this game, he wasn't as explosive as we've seen. So that was a little concerning. And I don't know why they don't ride Monty more, why they're phasing him out of the offense. But I guess we can talk about that. And then our receiver tandem was great. I mean, Amon-Ra and J-Mo, dominant.
Yeah, J-Mo's like this year, especially those crossing routes, and he's got some really good hands, and he's covered pretty well. And some of those, big third down plays, he's coming down with the ball with 15, 20 yards, and sometimes he keeps running with the speed he has. So that's been nice to see. I feel like the last month maybe. St. Brown is just so consistent. He's so nice to have, and I'm right there with you. Like I feel like I don't know if Monty needs as many carries as Gibbs. 7 carries just feels like if he's in there for another drive, do we start to wear him down a little bit more? I don't know. Like he's just so hard to tackle whenever he's in there. I feel like every other time he has the ball, the play looks dead at maybe 2 yards. He keeps going for 7, 8, and sometimes a first down. It's like having that person on your team goes a long ways towards the mentality of the defense. So, I mean, I love them both. Like you said, Troy, but Montgomery, we extended him like a year ago, just over a year ago. So it's like you knew you had something in there, but I'd like to see a little bit more. That's all I'll say.
I think after Thanksgiving, I was feeling pretty down, like this ain't our year sort of thing. And I've seen some people post like, at this point, is it worth it? But with this offense, man, they're proving they're clicking. We scoring that much on the Rams, we should win. Like you should win. I mean, it's a credit to their offense, but also, a realization that our defense didn't have the depth or just that many injuries. And the inconsistency of the pass rush. I mean, obviously that's a good team, but overall you got to be happy with the offense. And I feel like you do have to be confident, if we can sneak into the playoffs. Like I do think we can beat anybody on any given Sunday. Like we do have the offense to put up 30, 40 points in a game. Getting hot at the right time goes a long way. We gotta stack the wins. The players have been saying it. We've been saying it. It comes down to the identities off. Like they were almost pass first in this first half, and look at what they put up, right? And then in the second half, they almost went away from it. They were doing Gibbs up the middle, and then we had a holding call, and that I feel like some of that trying to force the establish of the running game. Like they're like, shoot, we only have, whatever it was at halftime, probably like 20 to 30 yards on the ground or whatever it was, So they're maybe trying to force it more than they should have been when they should have just kept Goff slinging it, man. He was throwing it. J-Mo's open. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Like they get great separation and they got good players. So, I mean, it's hard to say go away from the run game. That's their identity, or it was, but maybe they kind of got to be able to adjust on teams like that, where it's like we were passing, keep moving it through the air. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this year plays out and if we can make the playoffs.
Yeah. One more thing I'll say about the offense and Gibbs particularly. I saw this, I think actually Gibbs or maybe just a fan account posted this. So Gibbs touchdowns over the last 7 games. Who's got a number of how many touchdowns he has last 7?
I think I know where you're going with it, but
okay.
Is it 12?
No.
Well, I was going to say 4.
No.
Wait, what was the question? Restate the question.
Last 7 games, how many touchdowns does Gibbs have?
Is it like 25? I don't know now.
Jesus Christ. Meet in the middle. Okay. Jordan, you got one more guess?
15. I don't know. It's some variation.
Gosh, you guys are so terrible. Okay. He has 9 touchdowns in the last 7 games. But
going the wrong way.
But every single loss, so like every other He has 0.
Yeah, I've seen this.
So
Yeah, it's like 3 and then
it's
0.
0, 3, 0, 3, 0, 3,
I
0.
saw that. Okay.
So anywho, it's crazy because like one week Gibbs is like the best player in the league, and the other, I mean, I'm not saying he's not, but like the up and down of, I don't think it's him, but like the team, and it just shows you like he can just freaking go off, right? And when he scores, we win. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So
Yeah, that is. It would be interesting, with watching a defense. Sometimes, unfortunately, the TV camera's a little bit too zoomed in to kind of see how the whole defense is reacting. And it would be interesting to see if certain teams are somehow prioritizing Gibbs or trying to take him away more than others. I also thought about that with the Rams maybe making a halftime adjustment where in the first half we were being really explosive, pushing the ball down the field. And maybe in the second half they played their safeties a little bit differently to maybe force us shorter. I don't know for sure. It kind of felt like that because it doesn't seem like we would have just gone away from something that was working, so there must have been something different going on there. But yeah, that's kind of the unfortunate part of it changing. We did see a little bit more of the Cologne Frazier flip-flopping. I don't know why we don't just go fully with Frazier. It seems like he's better than Cologne. Cologne's just kind of that depth lineman. He doesn't really do much for me, where it seems like we want to see what the young guy has, but they see him in practice every day. Maybe he's not ready knowing all the plays or anything. Yeah. So here we go. We see Matthew Stafford here with his big smile. He was really seeing the defense and liking what he saw. So, man, yeah, he was unstoppable. He shredded us. DJ Reed, not a good game. And then our run D got ripped apart too. And that's kind of where I said we need to find a strength.
Yeah.
Clearly we're depleted, but we have to find something we're good at and just at least stop that. Right now we're not stopping anything.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw any stats or anything like that, but how much did we blitz? It didn't feel like a lot.
Yeah. We had a couple early, but
yeah, I don't know. And it felt like a couple weeks ago, blitzing
Dallas maybe
helped us. Dallas maybe. Yeah. And it feels like, again, I don't, maybe they didn't want to do that, with the receivers that they have. I don't know, but maybe it's something that we do a little bit more against Rodgers, this week. We'll get into that, but it just felt like every time, Stafford went to, chuck something downfield, you just knew something was going to connect. So, and even, well, I guess there was like a couple overthrows. And gosh, do we want to talk about the touchdown that was not a touchdown? That was it even a catch? Not the reason we won or lost the game, but it's just hilarious. Like every freaking week, like there's a call that even the announcers are like befuddled by, and even so, showing the reaction to that call from, I think it was the booth of the Rams. They're like, what? So it's just like, I don't know. It feels like the consistency of this kind of stuff happening to us is just wild. Again, not that we lost it on that play. It's just, I don't know. It's silly.
Yeah.
I know. I do want to talk real quick because I know that's kind of been talked about enough, and I kind of want to move on. But my question is, forget about the 1 yard line. Forget about like the touchdown aspect. It's like he didn't have possession before going into the end zone. That's what was decided. And then they decided he was able to gain possession while skidding. What I'm guessing is maybe a second across the corner, and then he's out of bounds where the defender's foot comes up, hits the ball, it kind of dislodges again. Like, how is that? They were like, oh, he must have gained control while sliding through the corner of the end zone and going out of bounds. But then you got Likely, who's like got the ball up here for like 2.5 steps for multiple seconds. And I know it's all the gray areas of the rules and interpretations of it, but it's just like it should have been, oh, oh, it was down on the one, he would have scored anyway. I think a lot of people are assuming obviously they were on fire, but like that could have also not been a catch if they had really maybe broken it down in that sense. Like how much time actually elapsed where he's running full speed on the ground and then he's out of bounds. Like how is that was my kind of frustration after all.
Yeah.
But we're used to it at this point.
I know, that's the thing. Troy, maybe you know a little bit more. How so Maddox and Hallett, how are they performing like statistically?
Just here, I mean, Hallett had a lot of tackles. Maddox did too. That probably isn't a good thing though, when that's your safeties having those many tackles. So I put it down just because they, were one of the leaders in tackles. But yeah, you don't really want your safety having 10 tackles because that means there's a lot of passes getting to the safety. So I wouldn't say great. I mean, obviously they were picking us apart. One thing that was kind of a little bit like the offense, where the defense early, there was a point when the Lions started to build a lead and Stafford started to get a little bit of some happy feet, and he had those overthrows and those incompletions. And then he obviously very quickly settled back down and ripped them apart again. He had like 370 yards almost passing. So it didn't last very long, but you started to see where they were starting to get in there. Hutch had a sack. Then it just all completely fell apart. So this is where we'll see what Shep's made of. We saw it last year with Aaron Glenn, where he had to patch together some defense and kind of make it work, and he did until the playoffs. And so I guess let's see if Shep can do that. Now, the injuries are different. He's got less injuries this year, but some huge ones at the end of the secondary. So yeah, we'll see what we got in our D coordinator, I guess.
And also Eric Hallett in his third year, that was his second game. He made 10 tackles. He was on our practice squad, and the Titans just signed him. So he's no longer with us.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe that's why.
A day ago, I'm reading Eric Schlitt. So interesting. Yeah, just more secondary depth gone.
Why was he on our practice squad if he was, in rotation like a week ago?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
We signed a D back today, Keenan Garber. I have no idea who that is. But maybe that was part of it. Or maybe Hallett they were like, after film study, it was not happening maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'd like to see Whiteside get another shot. He always, I thought, looked pretty good, but
that was a struggle. One with the defense too, though, in their defense, beat up secondary, and we know how DJ Reed and Amika have been playing, and you're going up against Puka and Devontae, who are like two of the best like contested ball receivers. I mean, anything near them, and then you even see the intensity of Puka like after the catch too. Like, my gosh, he is an animal, to be fair, despite all the antics we're seeing off the field too recently. That's been interesting, but just beat up secondary. We've seen DJ Reed and Amik get burned this year, and then they go up against those two. That was rough sledding.
Yeah, and so let's talk about DJ Reed a second, because he started out the year really well, and it was like, okay, this is an improvement over Carlton Davis. And then he got hurt. He had that hamstring injury. And since he's come back, he's been terrible, honestly. Like, he always seems like he's stumbling and tripping. And I don't know if there's just lingering effects from that injury or what's going on. But
he's 29.
It feels like we just can't get consistency at the quarterback position, for the last couple years. I don't know.
Pretty much the whole time. MCDC's been here. We haven't really had a corner that we trust, or that's been,
Yeah. So
Carlton was probably our best. He was okay. I actually thought Amik did pretty good on Devontae, and then Devontae went out, but he had a couple breakups. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't notice Amik, as much that game. Although I feel like he had, was it one for sure? I remember he had like a near interception, like go through his hands. I feel like he might have been close to getting a second one at one point too, where I was like, that would have been game changing. But
we got to mention Hutch's pick. How was that right off the bat?
That was part of the
Man.
gut. That set us up for the gut punch. We're like, that's
Yeah.
what you need. That's the type, exactly what you need to win this game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like if we would have gotten one more turnover in the second half, like that could have been a game changer too. So if we can, again, if we can find a way to like get a pick once a half or a turnover of some sort, like that's the recipe we need. And didn't happen. But to your point, Jordan, that's proof of how much it turns around the mentality of your team. And I was thinking about it, like if Hutch did not have that pick and they go up 7-0 and we potentially, don't score and they go up 4, like it could have been a blowout. So that potentially could have saved us too. Who knows? But yeah, seems like Hutch is always doing something up there, man. It's like just when you think he's gone, he's got something up his sleeve.
And maybe that run was kind of like a little foreshadow for how the game was going to go. Like I thought he was taking it to the house, especially when I saw Anzalone, and then he gets taken out by Parkinson out of nowhere. So
Well, flipping over to special teams, game theory, here's kind of what we were touching on earlier. Greatest rivalry in sports, Lions versus the refs. There was a few things. Obviously, we've talked about the Parkinson touchdown. Yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing, we saw the return of the Monty Cat. It actually was a touchdown. When they brought that out, I was like, oh, what are we doing? Come on. But it worked. Yeah, Bates missed a field goal. That's a little unfortunate. Fox had a good game. You can see our PFF grades. Actually, Maddox, you asked that question earlier, Matt. Maddox, according to PFF, had a good game. DJ Reed was the worst. Jordan's guy, Ricci, second worst. And then
on the team.
Yeah. Cologne, fifth worst. So let's just go with Frazier. I don't know.
Yes. I mean, the one that sticks out to me was, let's see here. I think it was just that series where it was like the JMO deep shot to JMO. He doesn't get it. Like could have had it, not all on him. That would have changed the game potentially. And then in the back of the end zone, he gets destroyed. He gets held, and then he gets like tackled while the ball's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And then Goff also gets helmet to helmet. I was like, I need to DM Goff and just be like, bro, for the fans, I know you're tough and great, but like just sell it a little bit. The other guys do it. Just like anytime you feel like it's helmet to helmet, just whip your head back. Like we need that. We need to start getting those because that happens a lot to him and he never gets those.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll happen to Rodgers and, he'll whip it out and, it'll be crazy. What I'm trying to get at is we are 31st out of 32 for penalties that would like benefit us for the other team, both in count per game and yards per game. So we're basically getting 5.5-ish penalties against, the other team for a mere 40 yards a game. So we're 31 out of 32.
Feels like
just kind of, is the reality of what we're kind of going through. So
yeah, the Rams had 2 penalties for 8 yards, I think. Lions, I believe it was
5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Right at the end when they had to like catch it up a little bit. I think we had 4 for 25, but yeah, I mean that stat kind of sums it up. It definitely isn't surprising to hear that.
Well, it's just so interesting too. Like I said, it was so long before there was a flag, and the broadcast kept mentioning it, like, oh, no penalties on the Rams, and we've already seen the Chiefs, of course, no penalties. Not that game was super close, but maybe it could have been. It's like, and the penalties against us too. Most of the time, it's like, well, that's ticky tack, or like, yeah, that probably happens most plays. You're telling me that never happened, and then we got the benefit of replay and stuff, but like. We see these ones out here. We see tugs on the jerseys. I slow down JMO. We're like, him getting tackled in the back of the end zone and just random things like that. It's like, that's happening all the time. The chokeholds on Hutch. Like, I know that's not too unusual with elite pass rushers. I think we can say he is one of, maybe not this year as elite, but he's up there, still with the elite guys. So it's frustrating, definitely as a fan base where it's like, we're finally good. And then we're having this rough year. It's easy to focus a little bit on that because it's just like, that's one of the norms that we see is the the battle with the referees. So,
well, it'll continue. At some point, it'll turn around, I guess.
but the Pistons, like, look at the Pistons, you know.
Yeah,
Like Cade's getting more calls now, and they're winning games, so that's fun.
true. Next year we'll have a bunch of penalties help us. Oh, man. All right. So next we move into our sponsored segment. So as you guys remember from last week, this is our sponsored segment, proudly sponsored by Phil Niekamp of Real Estate. He works for Keller Williams, Harbortown, and of course, he's a Detroit Lions fan, so he's with us there. Whether you're buying or selling your home, maybe you're just curious about, what your home's value is, give this guy a call. He's got the local expertise, West Michigan, if you live there. He'll give you a straight talk advice, kind of that family-friendly step. Holding your hand through the process can be a scary time, so he'll help you through it. There you see his details there, phone number, email, philniekamp.com. Hit him up and kind of start your process today. And that'll bring us into our sponsored segment, which is our Harrington to Hutchinson scale. For those of you that are new or forgot what this is, basically we give you a little rundown of where we're feeling with the Lions team, between Joey Harrington, meaning we're not feeling good, all the way up to Aiden Hutchinson, meaning we're feeling really good about the team. So we've, kind of gone up and down this year. Last week, just to kind of remind you guys, Matt, you were Zadarius Smith, Jordan was Theo Riddick, and I was Sean Rogers. So either of you have your guy who you're going with this week? Where are you feeling?
I've got a guy.
All right.
We just looked at him a couple slides ago. Our boy Matthew Stafford. So hear me out. So Matthew Stafford, loved him in Detroit, and still respect him as a player. He's one of the best that we've seen over the last, call it 15, 20 years. But the reason I think, kind of his time in Detroit is comparable to kind of what's happening to us right now is some games we look like, we're one of the best teams in the league and we can rip off, 300-400 yards passing and we can score at will. And some games we're like, is this the right guy? Is this the right team? Like, are we for real here? So, again, like his time in Detroit had a lot to do with the team that was around him that, kind of had his up and downs throughout the course of his career. But the course of the last 2 months have been the definition of up and down. So that's why I'm going with him. Maybe we'll see him again in like a month. Who knows? But I think that's kind of how I'm feeling lately about this team. Not great, not terrible, just the roller coaster.
So you're going with the pre-New Teeth Stafford.
Pre-New Teeth Stafford. Oh,
no.
man.
God,
yeah. I forgot about that until you said that on Sunday. I was like, he's got to be so salty right now. He's bringing up his teeth.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. They're too big. We love you, Matt. If you're watching, we love you. But
nice. Okay. I've been bouncing around a little bit between receivers here. I think I'm going to settle on this take here. I'm going rookie year Amon-Ra St. Brown. I feel like this team, is just kind of waiting in the wings here. And it's more of like where I'm hoping we're going, my vibe. Like we need to emerge now partway through the season. We're towards the end, but, his story as a rookie is like he kind of emerged. He took over. If you remember that wide receiver room, I sure don't. It was horrendous. Like maybe Barrios or something right? Like they brought in Josh Reynolds eventually because they're like, we got nothing. And then Amon-Ra, has that breakout after that first win. He really kind of catches fire, won some people some fantasy leagues. So for me, it's more of a hopium, like, let's catch fire here. They got to be gritty. They got to grind it out. Like that was the identity. MCDC, all these players, Panay, Hutch, right? The old guard, if we can get Frank back here. All these guys, Goff story too, like kind of rising up. We got to rise up out of the ashes. People are probably thinking like, oh, they might make it. They're a dangerous team, but it's going to be rough. It's under 50% chance at this point now with that loss. So for me, I think I'm hoping that we're going to emulate Amon-Ra's rookie year here and catch fire. I think it's possible. It's not out of the realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I want to give credit here before I kind of set the stage for my player. So for those of you in Metro Detroit, there's a radio station, 97.1 The Ticket. And I believe this was a couple of years ago, maybe they did a thing called Was This Player Good? Or were they just Lions good? I believe this was Mike Valeni kind of did this segment. And one of the players that kind of stuck out with wondering if they were actually a good player or were they just Lions good was Louis Delmas. So he was a safety. It must have been like 2008, 7, 9, somewhere around there. And looking back on it, he seemed like he was really good. But was he just good because he was on the Lions, or was he actually a good safety? And that's kind of where I'm at with this team. Is this team good, or are they just, in the history of the Lions, a good team? Obviously, in the history of the Lions, they're going to be a good team. But I'm not 100% sure if they're actually a legit good team. So that's kind of, I guess, where my player is Louis Delmas. Seemed good-ish, but probably not amongst the elites.
Yeah, that was not a good era. I'm imagining him in the late 2000s there, mid to late. So
yeah, unfortunately, he had injury issues, I think, with his knees too, if I remember right. So hopefully that's not a Kirby thing. All right, so turning the page. Pittsburgh, Sunday, 4:25. Yeah, must win. I want to set the stage a little bit here, just kind of give you guys some history on Lions Steelers. I looked this up, kind of curious to see how these two franchises have done against each other. It's not great for the Lions. I was a little surprised. The Lions' record against Pittsburgh is 14-17-2. The last meeting was 2021 when they tied 16-16. If you remember, Ryan Santoso missed a bunch of field goals in that game. Before that, Pittsburgh had won 5 in a row. And then the last Detroit win was 1998. Whoa. They won 19-16. That was our guy, Charlie Batch, Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, Johnny Morton. And then Pittsburgh before that won 4 in a row. And then the Lions win was 1983. So recent history, not great against Pittsburgh. We got to overturn some demons here. Aaron Rodgers returns to the Motor City. Yeah, you'll see here kind of in the offensive and defensive stats, it's almost shocking. Offensively, the Lions have a major advantage. Pittsburgh is really not a great offensive team. Lions are one of the best. Steelers, ironically, are ranked pretty high in points per game, which kind of tells me they're either really efficient at scoring or they maybe get a little lucky because their offensive stats aren't very good, but they score a lot more points than they should. And then defensively, both teams are pretty even, not very good as well. So the Lions do have a clear advantage here.
I remember that tie. That was, I think it was rookie year. Juju Smith-Schuster popped off like an 80 or 90-yard ridiculous touchdown. And I think we had the lead at that point or something. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I think I was going against like a Juju too in fantasy. So that one really was seared into my brain where I was like, oh. Had we even won a game at that point yet too? Was that the year we
Yeah, I don't believe so.
That's gross. I did notice that as well today too, Troy, when I was looking at the defenses that they and the points per game, like they score more points than us per game, right? Or quite a bit. Or not more than us, but more than I would have expected them to, right? And defensively too. So looking at their schedule and their wins and loss, what I kind of came to a conclusion is kind of just like a mid team. You know, they didn't have any too impressive wins. They beat New England is probably their best one, but it was week 3. That's pretty early. And then Indy in week 8, they beat them by a touchdown. So like they lost to some good, playoff teams. They lost to Seattle, division opponent Cincy, Green Bay, Chargers, Chicago, Buffalo. None of those are too close. They're close in the Bears and Cincy. So like nothing really shocking. I think we kind of can see that and conclude that, but a little scary. Rodgers is getting a little bit hot, and we might be having some flashbacks to our time when he's in Green Bay, and we've had to deal with him for years. So this is a interesting game for sure.
If this Steelers team was quarterbacked by anyone other than Rodgers, I'd feel so much better. But just what he brings and how he plays, and it just feels like that. We've had so many bad memories of him carving us up, and late game shenanigans, and something crazy always happens. So I don't know. It's a game we should win. It's at home, which is huge. But and TJ Watt, do we think he's playing? Probably not. I know he didn't practice
I'm
today.
not sure.
Okay.
I would. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, because he had the punctured lung. That's right.
Yeah.
That was a crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Who had that last time? Was it a QB last time?
What?
Tyrod Taylor or something like that?
Yeah, it's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So this game, I think I mentioned it in the pick'ems. Check us out. Week 16 pick'ems, predicting how this weekend's going to go. I think our key here is the linebacker play, and I feel confident with that. Our linebackers, Anzalone's pretty good at covering like the backs and stuff. I feel like as a defense, we're good at covering the screens and the passes, the checkdowns to the backs. We got athletic, fast, pretty good linebackers. And Rodgers, I was hearing on PFF against the Dolphins on Monday. He was averaging 3.6 average depth of target. So a lot of short, quick passes, getting it out of his hands. He doesn't want to stay in the pocket too long. I mean, obviously you got DK, you're going to take some shots at him, but if we can limit those with our beat up secondary, keep it kind of in front of us there and handle it up front with our athletic linebackers, and obviously try and crush that offensive line in with Hutch. And man, there's been a lot of talk about Aleem McNeil too, trying to get some squeeze out of that juice after he got a big paycheck there. So hopefully, we can get some more pressure and continue getting sacks here at the end of the year against an older, a little less mobile Rodgers, albeit I'm sure he's going to do his thing and throw some fadeaways or get us to jump off sides, and they'll call it. They'll actually let him have the free play, unless you're us. I'm confident, but a little nervous with Rodgers in town, of course.
Yeah. What would you prefer? I guess thinking of a defensive strategy here, would you rather them sell out to just shut down the run, but maybe force Rodgers to beat you? Or would you rather try and stop the pass and, force them to run the ball?
I'm a public school teacher, man. That's way above my pay grade. Yeah, of course. For me, I'm like, stop the run. Like, that's kind of my mentality. But then that's like, Rodgers is going to torch that secondary if they do that. So they're going to have to find a balance, or, maybe get those linebackers blitzing again. When they were doing that, when they're getting good pressure with the random, Barnes coming in, and Campbell got that almost safety on Dak. Like, that's what I'm thinking we need on Rodgers here.
Yeah.
I know. I actually think I would prefer to make sure they don't beat us in the run game. Only because I feel like no matter what, they're gonna get their passes in against us one way or another. So it's like, if we can't stop that totally, at least stop the run game. I don't know. We just can't seem to, as a secondary unit, be consistent. So I don't know. At least stop the run with the line.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing, Matt. Mainly because Rodgers obviously has a ton of experience. I have a hard time believing that we can trick him with a blitz. He always, he might not be as mobile as he was, but trying to, get him thinking one way and blitz the other way, he's always going to know what's coming, and he's got that quick release. So I kind of feel like if we send blitzes, he's going to know how to just kind of dink and dunk and pick it apart. So I kind of was under the thought that let's just, because that's the one thing, we don't have injuries. Let's just focus on shutting down the run and forcing quarterbacks to beat us, right? And looking at our next 3 games, if we can force Rodgers to beat us with, a lot of defenders kind of in the secondary. The same thing with JJ, and then Caleb Williams maybe in a freezing cold game. But we can stop the run in those games. At least we're stopping one thing. So that's kind of where I was going with that. One last thing I'll just mention. I was looking at, basically we have the offensive and defensive stats here, and I was looking at the Lions historically, really just the last couple of years that are relevant, but it's eerily similar, this team to 23, where essentially an elite offense, not a very good defense. Even when we get to like their kind of fancy stats, this team in 2023 are very similar. Last year was, we were basically elite in everything. So I thought that was a little interesting. We're a lot more like the 23 team that kind of, they still won the division, but it wasn't, if I remember right, a super comfortable, kind of run away with the division. And then they were, obviously didn't have a bye or anything and went all the way to the championship game. So
I remember there's one other thing. So Matt, you brought up Gibbs, right? Going 3-0, like that pattern here. So we would expect go ahead and put Gibbs down for three anytime touchdown. However, with Demo and some of the comments, and I know he made a post or whatever, but also let's grind it out with him. We don't need to score so quickly with Demo and Amon-Ra. We're going too fast offensively. Let's get some Montgomery grind, just a couple drives here and there. Just let them pound it. Get that back on track. That'll open things up for Gibbs outside too. Or you can do. I know they love that inside play where they pull, and then we scored it twice off the Giants, right? Like the exact same play, the one where it was the very first play in overtime. I feel like that's where they're trying to hit the home run with them, with Gibbs, but. I'd like to see, I'd almost say I'd put 2. I'm going to go 2 anytime on Demo because everyone's expecting with the patterns, win-loss, 3-0, Gibbs, he's going to get back. It's give me some Demo here. Not that Gibbs, don't, ignore him, and I'm sure he'll have a great game too, hopefully. But yeah.
I mean, what we really need is one out of each of them because I think I don't know if this is still true, but when they both score, we're undefeated like the last 3 years. I know that was still the case earlier this year. I don't know if it still is, but I think it might be.
Yeah, I would love to see 15 carries from Montgomery. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Moving on to the standings, I guess this is getting a little more clear. A lot more teams now are eliminated. Dallas potentially will be eliminated by the time we play. They could get eliminated Saturday. Really, we're looking at the Bears and the Packers. They kind of flip-flopped. Now the Bears are back up into second. So I guess, Matt, if you want to give us the breakdown again.
Yeah, I mean, so, I've been on that playoff predictor too much the last 2 weeks. So win out, that's, bottom line. If you don't do that, you don't deserve to be in. So there are ways, basically one way that we can get in with like a 2-1 record here. But let's not talk about that right now. So you got to win out. Best case scenario is actually the Bears winning this weekend. And let me tell you why. So if the Bears beat the Packers, and then next week, the Bears lose to San Francisco. I think that's a Monday night game in San Francisco. And the Packers lose to the Baltimore Ravens, which, very possible. And then we beat the Bears week 18. Guess who's Kings of the North? So that's best case scenario. But obviously, I think we would all feel a little bit more comfortable if after Saturday night the Bears lose. We know we control our own destiny. So, but that's basically it. I think there's a couple other things that could happen if, I think if the Niners fall off, that's basically it though. That's kind of how we get in, how we could potentially win the division still. Crazy enough, but we
almost would need the Niners to lose out, which means the Bears would beat them. So it's like kind of a
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I still think in that case we would need the Packers to like lose 2 of 3 or something like that. And then, we'd have 3 from the NFC North in. But yeah, I don't think there's a way where I think there'll be 3 teams from the NFC West, and then, it's, 2 from the North. So
It's looking that way, huh? It'll be interesting to see how the Vikings play too. Like, are they on a hot streak? Are they going to go back down to earth? Is JJ going to get exposed at one of these weeks here? Because they got us next week and Vikings and the Packers to end. So they could be potentially playing spoiler for either teams there. Like you said, I think the North, it is kind of like they're all fighting, in control of their own destiny. So
Yeah, it's good to know that no matter which way the Bears-Packers game goes,
there's
we're
still a path. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I guess the easiest path is if the Packers win, but then we're just playing for a wild card. So
Yeah.
I guess win out and see what happens.
Right. Yep. Got to win out.
Whew. All right.
It's tough.
Yeah. I feel good about this week though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just conditioned now, win, loss. So
Yeah.
yeah, being home too, I think makes me feel a lot better. If we were away, that'd be concerning. I'm sure the line would be a lot closer.
Yeah, I know. And if they don't win, Christmas morning is going to just be such more of a bummer, man, because the Lions play. And at that point, there will be basically no hope. And we can't have that Christmas morning.
No.
Is it Christmas Day they play?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
They're going with the black
That's the
jersey.
JJ. Is Minnesota going all white too? Is that what you were saying?
Mhm.
Very nice. That's going to be cool. I'm actually going to like that. And it's in Minnesota. Okay.
Yep.
Very nice.
Well, guys, any last parting thoughts, or are we good to see how we feel next week?
Yep. See,
Yeah,
let's
check
check
in.
the tone next week. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thanks everyone for listening in. Like and subscribe. It helps us out. Drop us any comments. You want us to talk about anything different? Give us your Harrington to Hutchinson. We want to see what you guys are thinking, where your panic meter is at. So yeah, tune in. We'll see you next week.
Go Lions.
See ya.